Underrated and misunderstood characters in Marvel Rivals. I know everyone will have their own opinions and own takes on this, and for context, I am a Grandmaster 3 Diamond 1 player, so I know I'm not the greatest player in the world or anything like that, but as somebody that's been playing this game more than I'd like to admit since it's come out, I have a great understanding of all of the characters, how the game works. I do feel I have enough knowledge about the game, and I thought it would be nice to shed some light on some of these characters. Now, if this video was being made when the game first came out, Wolverine would have been on this video right away. I feel so bad for people that learned this character. Wolverine was labeled bad right away before anyone figured out how this character worked, how to use them optimally, and now the guy's banned every game. If I were to play 10 games in competitive right now, it would be a miracle if even one of those 10 games Wolverine is not banned. So yeah, he's not really misunderstood anymore. But I do feel that these characters in this video are, in some capacity, and I'm gonna start with good old Captain America. Honestly, I do feel people are appreciating this character more and more, and he has got some good buffs lately with the 1.5 patch, but there's still a bit of a stigma around this character, and I do feel a good majority of the player base doesn't understand what he's meant to do. I see so much where I'm playing with a Captain America and they're using him like a typical Vanguard, or people that complain that they got a Cap on their team and he's doing nothing, when in reality he could be doing everything. Invisible Woman is one of my 3 mains in this game, and is probably the role I play the most, especially in competitive. If you're playing a good Captain America, it is a nightmare and a pain to deal with. Yes, Captain America doesn't get the kills as often as somebody like Black Panther, Spider-Man, etc. And I do feel he needs a slight buff in his damage, but what he lacks in killing power, he makes up for with his survivability. A good Captain America is nearly unkillable in the back lines, and if you don't give them the attention and respect they deserve, they will kill your supports and disrupt your entire team's flow, whether it be pushing the payload or domination. Just the sheer harassment factor alone, especially as a strategist main myself, disrupts your ability to heal your teammates, especially at critical moments. And because Cap is so tanky, it usually requires one of your DPS or tanks to help the supports. And yet, even though Captain America could be the reason your team even got the victory, I feel they are hardly acknowledged. And what Captain America provides for a game doesn't really come out on the stat sheet at the end. Somebody that even plays a fair bit of Captain America myself, I have had times where I kept 2 of the other team's healers and a DPS occupied in the back lines while the rest of my team pushed the payload. And I know I was the reason we won that game. And yet, I got criticized after for having terrible stats, not that many kills. But I knew it was because of me that we even won that game. But like I already said, I do feel people are understanding this character much more than they used to, and the fact that I play competitive games where somebody picks Captain America and you hear people on the mic sigh or complain right away before the match even starts, despite me hating to deal with this character as a strategist, I do like to see him get buffs, and I do feel his style of play is appreciated a lot more than it used to be, but I still think he's a very underrated and misunderstood character. Now I know this next one's gonna piss people off, but I don't care. I still think Scarlet Witch is very much underrated and misunderstood. Now people like to complain about Scarlet Witch that she's too easy to play. Meanwhile, we got characters like Cloak and Dagger that are equally as easy to play and way more impactful. Or somebody like Squirrel Girl or Moon Knight that you don't even have to have good aim to completely take over a game. And if I'm being honest with you, there are very few characters that I actually find incredibly difficult to play in this game at all. Spider-Man, for example, is one of them. The game tells me that Psylocke is hard to play. Her and Scarlet Witch are my 2 main DPS, and I really don't find Psylocke difficult whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I find her very easy and forgiving. Now, I'm not trying to discredit Psylocke, but the thing about Scarlet Witch is that, yes, she has the auto-lock main attack, but that is not the main source of her damage. Her burst shots that have area of effect damage are meant to be her main source of power, which you do have to roughly hit your shots, especially if you're aiming for aerial characters like Iron Man or Storm. And that is really it when it comes to Scarlet Witch. She's a very unique DPS because she has a lot of mobility, which is why I liked this character to begin with. She functions as a support DPS, if that makes sense, or an anti-diver. She is an excellent pick for dealing with characters that move at the blink of an eye, like Black Panther or Spider-Man in your back lines. Their movements are so sporadic, but her auto-lock will at least do enough damage that if they don't flee or react to it and try to fight you, they will die eventually. That is where her burst shots come into play. If you're simply getting kills with Scarlet Witch just by using her auto-lock, killing an enemy from full health with that, then you are simply not playing against good opponents. Besides protecting your divers, she acts as a good support damage for the tanks in the back lines or taking angles, chipping away at the enemy healers, making them react, and using her mobility to be a nuisance. But what I really love about Scarlet Witch is she's also a great counter for aerial characters like Iron Man, Storm, and Human Torch, and is also great for characters like Rocket or Jeff when he ult. You can usually kill a Jeff with Scarlet Witch before he spits your entire team off the edge of the map. Scarlet Witch is a very reactive character, reacting to your surroundings. Who's diving? Can you pinch off a choke point with your chaos control and help your tanks push the other tanks backwards? And if the other tanks are getting healed faster than you can kill them, take an off angle and put pressure on their healers. But where Scarlet Witch shines the most, in my opinion, as a secondary dive, if you pair her with somebody like Cap, Panther, Magic, because Scarlet Witch can't really hold her own in a 1v1 against most duelists, Bucky, Punisher, Hela, pretty much anyone with great aim is going to melt you in a 1v1. But if you have a Magic, for example, in their back lines, attacking their healers, and maybe they're Hawkeye or Hela, maybe they're Bucky, Scarlet Witch then can do what she does, chaos control her burst shots and do the cleanup damage for Magic. There will be too much going on, and most times it'll be so chaotic that you can do cleanup control and get those kills with your auto lock. Securing kills from weakened opponents that have little to no HP left is a key component to what makes Scarlet Witch, and your job as a Scarlet Witch is to secure those kills. The only time you're really going to be killing anyone from start to finish with your auto lock is if you're fighting an aerial character, and even then they're going to peel out before you get the chance, unless you really catch them off guard. I just feel that she has a very universal and versatile kit. She can take a ton of different angles with her mobility, play anti-diver, also play the enemy backlines, in tandem with another diver. She can also easily play at the front lines with your tanks or in the back lines to target their healers. And she's great for countering aerial characters. Not just somebody that you don't feel like learning how to aim, so you just auto-lock with them. If I just wanted to auto-lock and put my brain on autopilot and rank up, I would main Cloak and Dagger, no offense. And lastly, Scarlet Witch. Her ultimate is still not great, but at least it got buffed to the point where it's usable. If you were to use Scarlet Witch's ultimate before, against even half-decent opponents, it is considered a win. If you pop your ultimate, don't kill anyone, but at least you don't die and put your team at a disadvantage. God forbid you get one kill. At least now she has an inkling of a chance. Which brings us to our next character, Rocket Raccoon. I can still not believe how underappreciated this character is. I played a game the other day, and from the moment somebody on our team selected Rocket, there were like 3 or 4 people on the mic just complaining the entire time. The irony is that Rocket was probably our best player on the team. Somebody that can do passive healing like crazy and give you a free revive, damage boost, and Rocket is unkillable if the Rocket player is good. Not to mention he can melt people at close range, and because of how Rocket's healing works, he can easily do passive healing while running away from divers and surviving. As most of you know, killing the strategist on the other team is a sure way to get a victory. And not only is Rocket near impossible to kill if he knows what he's doing, but he gives your team a free revive. And I know, having invulnerability ults like Luna Snow is the way to go and preferred in most team comps. And something else to consider once you rank up a little bit. You are going to have to ban characters. Both Punisher and Bucky, if they're good, can completely take over a game. But more importantly, they are almost never banned in my experience. It's not to say that they're never banned, but compared to a lot of other characters, I almost never see it, nor do I hear about those characters getting banned frequently in other ranks either. And Rocket has a really good team up with those two characters. So yeah, I may not play Rocket Raccoon, but I appreciate you guys out there. And I play Invisible Woman more than anyone, and I don't mind whatsoever being teamed up with a Rocket. As a matter of fact, when I'm playing a very competitive game, it's nice to know that I'm playing with a Rocket Raccoon because I don't have to heal them along with my tanks and DPS nearly as much. They will survive on their own. Most of the time, they are good enough to survive on their own and escape danger. Then I can just worry about surviving myself. Now obviously the point of this video is to talk about characters that are both underrated and misunderstood. They kind of go hand in hand. Somebody that I feel everyone is sleeping on and always gets ranked terribly low in any kind of tier list is Mr. Fantastic. Now his ultimate isn't the best, and I don't think Mr. Fantastic is the best by any means, but a really good Mr. Fantastic is a problem. Coming from both the perspective of somebody that plays healer and DPS a lot. But if I'm being honest, even when I play tank, he's a pain to deal with. And he's kind of a unique anomaly because he's a hybrid character. He's a DPS, but he really is a tank. His survivability is crazy. And if he's paired with another good main tank like Doctor Strange or Magneto for example, a Mr. Fantastic will bypass the entire team and go into your back lines and wreak havoc on your healers. And he's an absolute nightmare to kill. And because he is so hard to kill, it's gonna warrant one of your DPS or tanks to turn around and help your healers to deal with him. Now this might just be me specifically, but I play a lot of Invisible Woman, so I rely on my invisibility a lot to get away, so that I can survive, heal for a couple seconds, and start healing my teammates again to win a fight, especially in a critical moment. Mr. Fantastic more than anyone on the enemy team though. But their stretchy arms are always able to hit me while I'm invisible. They throw punches in my general area and it seems like they always connect and reveal me. Then I'm running for my life again. Again, I don't think he's a broken character or anything like that. I do think he's vastly underrated and misunderstood. I think there's a select few of really loyal Mr. Fantastic mains out there that have really mastered the character, utilizing his kit and cooldowns, and I think this character will only go higher up in tier lists as people learn and master him. I mean, Wolverine's an extreme case of a character that wasn't even really buffed. I don't think they were buffed at all, and they skyrocketed from this character sucks to let's ban him every game because he'll ruin your entire time. I don't think Mr. Fantastic's going to climb to those heights when people learn about him and really figure him out, but I do think he's going to climb a bit. Now, the last character I want to talk about in this video that I think is underrated and a little bit misunderstood, Loki. I have such an appreciation for a good Loki player, and to be honest, I have spent the last week really buckling down to learn this character to be my secondary strategist. Besides the fact that he is stupidly fun to use, he can be such a game changer, and it seems like everyone is sleeping on him. His survivability and the shenanigans he can pull off are crazy. He has a ton of healing and survivability for his team that go under the radar. He can even tank ultimates in certain scenarios with his runestones. But with a good Loki player and great clone placement, not only are you unkillable and can tank things and heal crazy, but you can do a ton of damage. You can put a ton of pressure on their tanks, shoot an enemy Iron Man or Storm right out of the sky. And you're one of the most annoying supports to deal with for an enemy diver like Black Panther or Iron Fist. Good luck trying to kill a Loki player and dealing with them. And I haven't even got to the best part, his ultimate. His ultimate is a chef's kiss, and the best ultimate in the game in my opinion. The reason being is, your ultimate is whatever you need it to be and whatever the situation calls for. I am currently ranking up on a secondary account, and I just reached Platinum the other day. I can't tell you how many times and how good it feels to completely change the tide of a game, stealing the right ultimate. Stealing a teammate or enemy team's survivability ultimate like Luna Snow or Cloak and Dagger. Those are the old faithfuls, but sometimes you need to steal a Storm ultimate. And I've even stolen an Adam Warlock ultimate to clutch a domination to get the win. Yes, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it results in stealing the wrong one by accident. But really at the end of the day, all this game is a game of numbers and percentages. Having situational awareness on the other team. What ultimates have been used? Who's all still alive? What counters what? Which characters counter which? And this gives Loki such a high skill ceiling, but incredible versatility to adapt to a lot of situations. A good example of this was the other day I was playing ranked, and there was this Bucky on the other team that was completely running the show. He was running the lobby, and right away I knew, if we contain Bucky or kill him enough, we'll win. Dealing with him is the sole factor if we win or lose this exact game. And with Loki and his clones and stealing offensive ults, I was able to deal with Bucky, even as a strategist while continuing to heal my team. And we ended up winning. I've also been lucky enough to play with some really incredible Lokis, and they just make the entire game so much easier. It's always fun to watch a person play a character at a really high level, probably a higher level than the rank they're in, because you know that these people, when you come across them, they're just climbing, they're just passing by. But a good Loki player, more than anyone, is by far the most fun and fascinating thing to watch, and I strive to be one of those Loki players eventually. So yeah, although this list of characters is not in any particular order, I personally think Loki is probably Loki's probably one of the most underrated characters in the game. He's slept on, he's not talked about enough, and that is going to wrap the video up. But that is honestly just my opinion at the end of the day, and just from what I see, I consume a lot of Marvel Rivals content, play the game a lot, I'm always watching high-level players, reading the comments, so this is just what I gathered. But by all means, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Maybe you have your own characters that you think are underrated. I look forward to reading that. But have a good one, everyone, and we'll see you all in the next one. Later.